somebody who's who hopefully got some hair on his chest. It's Danny Marang, everybody, with 108 The Fan, also a podcaster with the Portland Blazers as they get into town to take on the Warriors tonight. Right, you're not going to cry on this show, are you, Danny?
I don't think so. I don't think it's that time of year. I've got a massive surgery on Thursday. I'm saving my tears for that.
Oh gosh, well, bless you, man. I hope everything goes okay. We're hoping that the Warriors do some surgery on the Blazers tonight. But 71 points. What? Like, we know we're having an interesting conversation earlier. Our morning show sort of started this idea of where to place Dame Lillard historically, and a fascinating comparison between his career and Klay Thompson's sort of started based on this idea that Dame feels like a true one, but he also feels like that guy that is never going to achieve what the ones need to do because he's up there in Portland. Like, how would you answer that question? How would you compare the career of Dame Lillard and Klay Thompson?
I look at Dame as definitely more of a one just because of the shot creation and the stuff that's put on him. And Klay's incredible in his own, Hall of Fame career. The thing about Dame, and this is the frustrating because I've watched every second of his career and I've talked to him about legacy and all this stuff, is that the best player he's ever played with is LaMarcus Aldridge, and that was 8 years ago. And that kind of changes how you discuss Damian Lillard and what they've done or what they haven't done in pursuit of putting, guys around him and giving them those opportunities. And to be honest, I think that if they don't make that move here this summer, we can be talking about a legacy very differently very, very soon.
And in terms of making that move, is it the sense in Portland that Damian Lillard is there to stay? Other than last offseason where there were some overtures that maybe he wanted to go elsewhere, do you get the sense that he wants to be a Blazer for life?
I mean, I've talked to him about this 1,000 times, and he's built basically a castle here. And I'm not even kidding. His whole family's here. Whatever happens, if they don't put the right guys around him, and eventually he goes somewhere, whether it's back home to the Bay or to Utah, to where he played at Weber State, or anywhere else, he'll always live here when it's all said and done. But I do think that the Blazers are going to try their absolute best to put an chance of a team around him, and I think that they're going to try to do that this summer. If they aren't able to do that, I still think that he wants to be here. But I think if he has to go another year where they're just okay, I think that there might be a little bit of difference. I think there might be a little bit of pressure, not from his agent, not from anyone else. I think it might change for him. But for him right now, there's no place he's going to be outside of Portland. He genuinely loves it here, and no matter how many times people say you need to go chase this or go after this or do it this way, the one thing he always tells me is those other people don't have to live with those choices. I do. And so for me, I'm okay being here.
Danny Marang, 108 The Fan in Portland as the Blazers come to town tonight. Danny, we have urgency around these games that we don't normally get in February in the NBA because of the logjam in the West. So let's just nuts and bolts this game tonight and tell us the state of the Blazers and what the Warriors are up against tonight.
It's been really interesting just because both teams are missing key pieces, right? The Blazers, without Yusuf Nurkic, don't have any real size. Drew Eubanks, he's a good kind of a try-hard lunch pail guy, but he's 6'10", closer to 6'9", isn't the best rim protector on the face of the planet. But the flip side of that is the Warriors take the least amount of shots at the rim. So it's kind of this contrast in styles. Both teams obviously love to get threes up. But also the Blazers aren't going to have Anthony Simons. And so you're going to see kind of a different version. The 71-point Damian Lillard was, partly Dame doing what he does post All-Star break, which is go absolutely insane, but also partly necessary. Anthony Simons is the guy who's 22 a game, their primary creator outside of Damian Lillard. So a lot of the offensive creation burden is going to fall on Dame because what they're going to do is they're going to stagger Damian Lillard and Jeremy Grant. because without one of them on the floor, the offense suffers just so drastically. So how they go about it and how they end up attacking the Warriors is going to be really interesting, because they've got some guys in Portland now in Matisse Thybulle and Cam Reddish who they're significantly bigger, longer, more athletic, but how they fit into things after picking them up at the trade deadline, the Blazers are still trying to figure it out.
I'm glad you mentioned the trade deadline, because the Warriors and Blazers were connected in Gary Payton II coming back to the Bay Area. What is the Portland take in terms of GP2 and him being damaged goods? How was he able to be activated and healthy enough to play, and then now he's injured again, Danny?
The thing that I come back to is it sounds like there's a difference of opinion between two medical teams. The reporting that came out of the Bay, I'll say it flat out, the guys that did it was shoddy. They didn't make a single phone call to the Trailblazers. They didn't make a single phone call to anybody. It comes out that they weren't shooting them full of Toradol. They weren't forcing them on the court. And two other guys in Portland, came to this, had the exact same surgery, the exact same surgical staff, the exact same rehab team, and the exact same physicians that were on site in Portland. That being Damian Lillard and Nasir Little. It's kind of a bulk discount that everybody got, I guess, this summer, having the same core surgery. The Blazers were, if anything, about as hands-off with Gary as they could be, repeatedly throughout the season, from the opening day, media day, all the way into late December. All Chauncey Billups kept telling us was, hey, Gary can play whenever he wants to play. It's up to him. It's up to him. It's up to him. And, we got updates that he'd be ready maybe in October, then around early November, then it was Thanksgiving, and then it was Christmas, and then it was the end of December. And it was all just really confusing, because when he finally got out on the floor, he performed. He was impactful. I don't want to say his first game he got out there, I think he had 4 steals, knocked down like 2 or 3 corner threes. He was just incredibly impactful in about 15, 16 minutes of action. And how that whole thing ended up going in the long run, with how things were reported and what did and didn't happen and how the Warriors viewed things, it's all really ugly, to be totally honest. And I don't think that whole situation is done. I'm going to be really interested to see what the league does or doesn't do, either publicly or behind the scenes, with how that whole thing was kind of unraveled.
Yeah, Danny, does it feel like you think in the end the Blazers get some sort of a fine?
I don't.
Huh.
When it's all said and done, I don't think anything is going to happen.
Interesting.
It feels shady from our side of it, just so you know. I mean, the guy plays however he was able to play, and he comes here and he's hurt. It feels like, from a Warrior fan standpoint, that they got duped.
Yeah, I mean, I get that part of it, as far as how that goes. The flip side of it is, and what kind of, I think, came out of the organization here was, you played him in the playoffs on that same exact injury that he had surgery on. So it definitely sounds like, from the Portland fan side of things, number one, sour grapes. Number two, the reporting side of it being so salacious and inaccurate at the same time. Not even accurate, just blatantly false, from the Athletic reporting. Had a lot of people here incredibly upset because of how it painted the medical staff. And it's, like I said, it's ugly. It's really interesting to see how this all ends up. The interesting thing about this, for me, is the timeline side of this, how he was going to be out for 2 to 3 months, and now he's being reevaluated a month. Whether or not he plays this season, I think that's going to be kind of I don't want to see the flag planting of how bad or he was or wasn't injured, or how different medical staffs view it. I think that's going to be interesting to see when he does, or if he does, play this season.
Yeah. Danny, it's more about disclosure than anything else, right? I mean, your thought that he played through this same injury last year, sure, that was the playoffs. You're going to force things. I don't think anybody with the Warriors is worried that the Blazers played him this year. It's about disclosure in trade talks, no?
Yeah, no, 100%. And from the folks that I've talked to, they've all said that, they disclosed everything that was supposed to be there, and everything that was in the medical records was there. Because that's the part of this is the disclosure. Everything's in the medical records database. And now if the Blazers didn't do that, because I've been told that all the records were all there and all the data was all there, if they didn't do that, then the league will hammer the Blazers.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, Danny, really good information, man. Thanks so much for hopping on today.
Hey, anytime, guys. Y'all take care.
Okay.